Straining the yogurt version of kefir is a bit more, teeny bit more challenging, if you will. Um, so this is one of my smaller bottles. Just taking off the coffee filter and the rubber band securing the top. And you can see that there is like a very clear level of whey here. One of the best ways to drink the whey up, put a straw in and just drink it up. But since I do want to show you how to deal with it, or one of the ways to deal with it, if you're not interested in drinking it up, is well, okay, let me try this better this way. Hopefully you're able to see it. I'm going to insert a spoon, curved, the spoon side towards the edge of it, and I'm just trying to hug the edge of the glass here, pushing down the kefir still along the side, and then creating a gap here so that now the liquid can come out over here. Sorry, that was a little out of frame. Now I'm gonna try to strain it into the cup, just the liquid, so that I can get the thicker yogurt like kefir out separately. So I'm just gonna strain it into the same cup, jar, whatever, if you will, and get the liquid out. So you can see that mostly it's watery, slightly white. So I just basically took the jar, tilted it, poured it out by holding the spoon in place. So now I've got a little bit of the liquid out. I'm just going to transfer it into another cup so that it doesn't thin out my kefir yogurt, as I call it, when I strain that. When you strain it, obviously it gets the milky color from the kefir. Yeah. Now you take your kefir. Let me show you just how thick it is right now first. So after straining out the whey, you can basically see how thick the whole thing is at the moment. Let's strain this out. This will need a little bit more of encouragement for it to go through the strainer, because obviously it's far thicker. So it's just gonna be one big series of flops, if you will. It does take a decent amount of kefir grains for it to get to this yogurt-like consistency. Now, initially you're seeing a little bit of thinner kefir going through, but now let me show you. You can see how thick this is now. So the better you're able to strain the whey out, the thicker you will get the kefir. I do try to at times pull it out with a little airline tube too, just to get a little bit more, a little bit of a play per se. So yeah, that is like one small jar of kefir in which I was making the yogurt version, but you can see just how much grains that is when looking at the size of the jar. There's a lot of grains in there still. But it's okay, I don't need to necessarily take all of that. As long as I'm able to get most of the kefir out, we're good. Now when you are straining this, because now it is thicker kefir, it will stick to the bottom of the strainer a lot. So just take your spoon and run it through the base, and so that you can just help it go into whatever jar or vessel you're putting it into. Alright, time to transfer the grains back into the jar. From here on, the process is basically the same as what I do for the drinking kefir. I just put the grains in and pour the milk, ensure there is that air gap, and close it up with the muslin cloth or the filter and let it sit. So this one, I'll be taking it again now only after 48 hours, which is when I will get it to the consistency that I want. Thick, creamy. I'll show you a jar of kefir yogurt that is right now sitting in my fridge. It sits well, keeps well in the refrigerator for around 1.5 to 2 weeks, I think. So that's that. Let me show you the amount of grains in this one as well. Oh, okay. It's kind of difficult to see. So this is the jar. I'm gonna mark the spot to where the kefir grains are. So it's like, again, I'll be filling this with milk up to here on the top, like pretty much where my finger is, so around here. And there are kefir grains in it till here. So safe to say, like just under half of the bottle is kefir grains at the moment. So you kind of need to have more grains to be able to get to the yogurt stage. So I'm just adding the milk into it. Stirring it up like earlier for the drinking kefir. And closing it up with my coffee filter and rubber band contraption. So now this one will sit for another 48 hours before I can strain it out. So you can see this, it's a takeout container. So this is the yogurt version, which is basically every 48 hours that I strain, and this one is kefir from over the last week. You can just see how creamy that is. Like when I'm just scoring the top, you can see that it just maintains its shape. It's, yeah, you want to get this goodness. Far better than store-bought yogurt. Works well for anything that you would use yogurt for. The only thing that I would say is, if you do want your yogurt to not have a sour taste and have more of a neutral taste, sour does not mean that it has gone bad, it's just how it works. But if you wanted to have more neutral taste, instead of keeping it in room temperature, keep your kefir grains in the refrigerator. They'll work slower, which also kind of makes sure that the kefir doesn't have a sour taste to it. Here we tend to love having that little punch to our yogurt. We have it with our rice to make things and all of that, so we're not necessarily doing the yogurt cup with fruits here. So for us, this one works as long when it's in room temperature. So yeah, this is how thick you would get it, regardless of whether you keep it at room temperature or in the refrigerator. In the refrigerator, it might just take a little, it might take more than 48 hours. I would say it'll take 72 hours for it at least to get to, you know, that separation stage like this one. Right, so that's the yogurt version, you all.